According to a Chinese anecdote, a student sought out Lao Tzu to complain about his stagnation, deadlock. Although he had rigorously practiced sword fighting for many years, forcing himself to the point of exhaustion both physically and mentally, his progress was very slow. The thing that caused him the most pain was having to witness others seemingly expending less effort, yet achieving higher accomplishments than him. In lieu of an answer, Lao Tzu led the young man to a nearby riverbank and pointed to a large rock standing firm in the middle of the current. The master gently asked, "Do you see how the water is curving itself to flow around that rock?" When the student nodded, Lao Tzu then pointed to the smooth surface of the rock. He explained that this rock was originally rugged and sharp-edged, but the gentle water, the thing that never wages war with stone, had persistently flowed day after day, year after year, to wear it down. Then he posed the question, between hard rock and soft water, which thing is stronger? The young man intended to answer that the rock was stronger, but the truth manifesting before his eyes made him stop short. That soft water had eroded this rock and countless others, remodeling the entire mountain over time. At that moment, Lao Tzu smiled and said, "You are acting exactly like the rock, rigid and forceful, using strength. If you want to achieve true strength, you must learn to become like water." That was the origin of the water mind. That simple lesson by the river later became one of the spiritual pillars of Taoism. We often grow up with the belief that when encountering difficulty, gritting our teeth and forcing ourselves to fight is courageous. But through the eyes of Lao Tzu, nature tells a different story. The softest thing is precisely the strongest thing. Without swords or sharp edges, the gentle water is still powerful enough to penetrate bedrock and carve deep valleys. As he wrote in the Tao Te Ching, "Nothing is weaker or softer than water, but nothing is better at subduing the hard and strong than it is." That is the origin of the water mind, a power hidden behind a yielding appearance built upon 5 core principles. The 5 core principles of the water mind. 1. The first principle, non-resistance. The gentle water never foolishly confronts an obstacle head-on. When the flow is blocked, it does not stubbornly push with absolute force. If it meets a rock, it curves itself to flow around. If it meets a wall, it patiently seeps through the cracks. And before a high cliff, it lets itself go, yielding to gravity. Thanks to that flexibility, no matter how difficult the path, water always finds its way back to the sea. In modern life, we often waste immense energy on absolute resistance, such as deliberately ramming one's head into an insurmountable difficulty or arguing endlessly with a rigid system. This mindset leads to extreme stress and burnout. Instead of forcing oneself to charge into difficulty like a tank and collapsing, try thinking like water. Ask yourself, where is the most natural path? Where is the opening to slip through gently without forcing? Try to imagine, in work, you are managing a project and running into an uncooperative partner department that constantly delays approval. The way of resistance is to send a series of stressful emails and demand compliance. The way of water is to avoid confronting that person directly. Instead, you look for an opening by finding a new communication channel, like speaking directly to their superior, or adjusting the project's priorities to temporarily work on the parts that do not require that approval first. You don't stop, but you flow along the path of least friction to move forward. In learning, just like when facing a massive body of knowledge, don't greedily try to swallow it all at once. Instead, find the smallest and easiest starting point to begin the flow. The second principle, flexibility. Water is a master of transformation. Look at how the water behaves. Poured into a cup, it assumes the shape of the cup. Poured into a bottle, it obediently curves itself to the shape of the bottle. It is thanks to this boundless adaptability that water can penetrate the narrowest crevices where rigid objects are powerless. This is true strength, not weakness or lack of identity, because water's ultimate goal, finding the sea, never changes. Only the method is customized. The advice here is to stay firm on your destination, but be loose on your methods. People often get stuck on a perfect plan they devised and become extremely stressed when reality doesn't unfold as predicted. Try to imagine. In career development, you set a goal to become a senior manager. Rigid thinking demands you follow path A, get an MBA, work at company X, then get promoted. When company X lays off employees, the rigid thinker will feel despair. The water mind will accept the new circumstance, change shape, reassess existing skills, and realize that the experience at company X can be converted into becoming an independent consultant or starting a business. The goal, becoming a leader, is unchanged, but the means have flexibly shifted to fit the market's new container. In skill acquisition, just like when you are learning a musical instrument, if today you are too busy to practice for a full hour, then 5 minutes or even just observing others play is still valuable. Don't give up just because you can't adhere to a rigid schedule. Be like water. When it encounters the obstacle of limited time or energy, it finds a way to flow around it, to continue its journey to the great sea. The third principle, patience. Water carries an unusual calmness. It is never hurried or rushed toward its destination. The river does not care about reaching the ocean in a single day. The erosion of rock, which creates deep canyons like the Grand Canyon, takes place over thousands of years, thanks to gentle but continuous pressure. We, modern people, often crave instant results and easily give up when a week of effort does not yield visible change. However, Lao Tzu taught that genuine and lasting change only comes through the steady accumulation of time. Focusing on small, consistent efforts is much more effective than short, intense bursts of effort. Try to imagine, in learning a foreign language, the hasty way is taking an intensive course, 8 hours, day for 1 month, and then quitting entirely. Although you achieve quick progress initially, you will easily forget and burn out. The way of water is studying 15 minutes every day, consistently throughout the year. Every day you don't see a clear difference. But after a year, the accumulated knowledge will be enormous and much more sustainable. In personal finance, instead of trying to rush and save a huge amount of money, set up an automated system to transfer a small amount, for example, 1% of income, into a savings account every time you get paid. Individually, that amount is very small and doesn't cause stress. Non-resistance, but following the principle of patience over many years, it will create a surprising difference. It is that stable, unbroken flow that creates the most enduring strength and sustained health. 4. The fourth principle, Wu Wei. Lao Tzu called this Wu Wei, a way of acting without struggling, the secret to absolute harmony with the flow of nature. Wu Wei is not laziness, but knowing when to act and how to act to achieve optimal effectiveness without causing strain. Water never has to strain. It just flows the way it needs to flow. Take sleep as evidence. The more you use willpower to force yourself to sleep, the more wakefulness persists. But if you just relax, accept, and let natural sleep come, it will gently envelop you. Try to imagine, in creativity and writing, you are experiencing a writer's block. The forcing way is sitting stubbornly in front of the screen, forcing yourself to write something perfect, causing stress and mental fatigue. The Wu Wei way is recognizing you are out of energy, standing up to take a walk, reading an unrelated book, or tidying up your workspace. You are creating a conducive environment for focus and natural ideas to return. When that happens, focus occurs spontaneously, and work flows like a stream, no longer a battle. The action happens in harmony, not in conflict. In communication, negotiation. Instead of trying to force the opponent to comply with your viewpoint, create conditions for them to feel heard and willingly reach a mutually beneficial compromise. You don't use force, but you create a flow that both sides follow. 5. The fifth principle, humility. Water is the master of humility. It always seeks the lowest places, flowing down into valleys, while everything else strives for the peaks. This quiet humility is the source of its power. When water accepts gathering in the low places, it becomes deep, and that depth creates enough power to move anything. Great rivers always form in valleys, not on mountaintops. This teaches us, be willing to start with small, simple things. Do not let pride or fear of judgment make you hesitant to start over or do foundational work. Try to imagine, in entrepreneurship, an arrogant entrepreneur will try to launch a perfect, complex product immediately, skipping the simple testing phase. They do not accept the low place. A humble entrepreneur will start by listening to customers, going to the low place of demand, launching the simplest product to gather feedback, and be willing to do seemingly small tasks like replying to customer service emails. The strength and sustainability of the business come from building a solid foundation in this low place. In professional study, you want to become a data analysis expert. The arrogant way is attempting to execute the most complex models from the start. The way of water is accepting the need to relearn the most basic statistical knowledge, even simple skills like cleaning data. Only when the foundation is solid gathering in the low place can depth professional power be developed. True power does not come from immediate display, but from the patient accumulation of small efforts. These 5 core qualities, non-resistance, flexibility, patience, Wu Wei, and humility, do not exist independently, but blend into a comprehensive guiding principle. When facing your greatest challenge, pause and honestly look within. What am I trying to force? What obstacle am I wasting energy fighting against instead of flowing around it? Am I too proud to start with small things? Just choose one principle and practice it for 7 days. You will feel the burden of straining lift. This is the softer yet more sustainable path, because the soft overcomes the hard, the flexible overcomes the rigid, and the patient will outlast the hasty.